So recently, I have been just enamored with pirates, even more so than I normally am. I have just been wanting to play any pirate game that's out there, watch any pirate movie that's out there, read any pirate book that's out there, and read any pirate manga that's out there. Point being, I really do love pirates. But here's the thing. I asked myself, do I really know anything about pirates? And it came to me that I actually know nothing about pirates, or the history of pirates, or who the pirates are. If you were to ask me to give you two pirate names, and there's a Minecraft gun to my head, I'd be kind of Minecraft in the ground. Like, I don't even know if pirates are real, who the real big players were at the time, if pirates even buried their treasure, were ships as big as they were. I recently went on a trip down to the Bahamas. More specifically, I went to Nassau, and I wanted to learn about pirates. But the thing is I didn't learn a single thing about pirates when I was down there. What I did learn was that they have cool bucket hats there that were for sale, and I almost bought one, but I didn't. And I learned that the Disney Wish cruise line is absolutely ginormous. I mean, look at this thing. It is massive. On the top deck, there's a slide that goes around the whole ship. It's crazy. I also learned that Oprah Winfrey has a house down there in the Bahamas, and I took a picture of it, and I want you to guess which one is hers. It's both of them. Both of those houses are hers, so we're gonna learn about some pirates. But you know, my throat's a little parched, and we can't really talk about pirates without one special thing. I don't... We got some rum. In order to talk about pirates, we needed to be a pirate, and so we need rum. That's a good amount. Cheers to being a pirate. Oh god. I want chocolate. I don't have chocolate. I have rum cake that I got from the Bahamas, and so guess we're gonna do a little taste test. Oh god, this is awful. It's a crazy looking rum cake. Alright. With modern day technology, aka scissors. Oh, that's real good. Let's talk about pirates. So what is a pirate, and what do you think of when you hear the word pirate? I know for me personally, I think of Rockhopper from Club Penguin. I just vividly remember being on the beach of Club Penguin Island and seeing Rockhopper's ship just parked there. And then I went onto a ship and I saw Rockhopper just standing there with a whole crowd of people, and I'm just sitting there dancing. I'm dancing around Rockhopper. It was a life-changing moment for me. It's as if I was meeting Luffy in real life. So under the umbrella term pirate are multiple different ways of describing pirates. You got your corsairs, you got your buccaneers, and you got your privateers. All of which are a bit different, but they're all still pirates. Pirates in the Mediterranean Sea are corsairs. Pirates that are in the Caribbean are buccaneers. And privateers, we'll get back to privateers, but all we need to know now is that privateers are legal pirates. Alright, Luffy, what's next? So actually, how do we define a pirate? According to the Act of Piracy in 1898, they decided to write down the definition that a pirate is someone who robs, plunders, or murders on the open sea, in any body of water. Now this begs the question, why on earth would anyone want to be a pirate? Being a pirate seems like a pretty good way of ending your life pretty fast. So let's envision that you are a 17th century lad. This is what your life would look like. You're either born A, rich, and honestly, congratulations to you, you have won at life, and so we have the more realistic option of you being B, broke, just broke. Okay, so you're a broke boy and you're probably asking, okay, what are my career options in life? And you know what, I'll give you two dialogue choices. Alright, so it looks like you're poor, so you got two options. You can either be on a merchant ship, or you could be on a Royal Navy ship. Can I take, okay, yeah, it actually doesn't matter. Both of these options suck, so you don't actually have any choice at all. Woohoo! Both of those dialogue choices didn't matter. Your life's actually gonna suck because both options of being on a merchant ship is terrible, and being on a Royal Navy ship is also terrible. But you're probably gonna be forced on one of them, or if you're lucky enough, both of them. So on a merchant ship, they'll probably kidnap you and just throw you on the merchant ship and just sail away. It's called Shanghaiing, which I tried looking into it, and I don't know where the name Shanghai comes from, but apparently it just happened really commonly in Shanghai, China. So that's the reason why they just call it Shanghaiing. I don't really know. And then you got something called press gangs. And these are the more formal version coming from the government of taking you and forcing you on their ship and sailing away. The whole press gang thing is actually wild because I read that they would just go into tradesmen houses if they didn't have enough people, take the first guy they see, drag him out, and if you even like so retaliated, they would just beat you to death. You just got kidnapped as a young lad, you're put on a ship. How's life? It's not good. You're probably not getting paid enough. More specifically on a merchant ship, the merchants don't want to have to pay their people because obviously, net loss and profit. What do? They just take your pay. And then on a Royal Navy ship, they'll just flat out not pay you and they'll just say deal with it. Come on, man. Is there any other options? Like, I don't really want to be a sailor. I really hate being out in the ocean. It makes me seasick. I mean, I guess you could be a farmer, but that's it. Man, I don't want to be a farmer or a sailor, but I'm forced to be a sailor. So if you're lucky enough to learn how to sail a ship, then you have actually learned a very important life skill because congratulations, you could either be a privateer or a pirate. So the way of being a privateer works is that the government would give you a document called a letter of marque and reprisal, this thing right here. As long as you have the contract, you are fully able to take and plunder and capture any ship that is warring with England. So at this time, probably France, or Spain, or the Netherlands, or yeah, you get the point. England's kind of at war with everyone. So if you came across a French ship on the water and you just so happened to capture it, congratulations, that loot is now yours. Obviously, probably a cut is going back to whoever commissioned you as a privateer, but you get a good chunk of that, which is the reason why privateers were pretty popular. A privateer sounds great, that sounds perfect for me. Sorry, buddy, you probably just lost your job. Pirate it is! The cool thing about being a pirate is that it actually has a whole lot of great COD perks. First off, the captain is voted in by the whole crew. You're the captain now, we're gonna follow your lead, we're kind of chill with it. I don't really want to be a captain, but you're a cool captain. COD perk number 3.
Okay, we need to stop Luffy right here because he skipped over COD perk 2 for some reason. Anyways, editor Luffy noticed that this video is getting too long, so we need to cut corners somewhere. Here are the advantages of pirates. Pirates get to pick their captains, pirate ships aren't as crowded, lots of food aboard, lots of alcohol aboard, and there are more medical supplies. Okay, cool. That's it. Let's move on.
So by this time, no one really knew about all these perks. These perks haven't gone viral on TikTok yet, or at least in the case of these times, the printing press. Enter William Kidd. You know what? I don't think I can actually talk about him yet. Enter Henry Avery. Yeah, that's more like it. We can't really talk about Kidd yet until we talk about Avery. William Kidd is probably the more famous person, but Henry Avery played a very vital role in Kidd's life. Largely, a lot of his early life is unknown, and this is going to be a common occurrence because, well, you can't post cringe early in these days. I guess you could, put it on a paper and say, this guy is weird, but I guess that works. We don't really know about Avery's early life, but it wasn't until a little bit later on in his career where he sailed with this fella named Charles Gibson. Gibson being the captain, he was given a task from Sir James Halblin. He basically said, hey, you guys can go into the Caribbean and trade with all the Spanish colonies down there. Let me throw in some extra goodies to make this a little bit more enticing. definitely nothing will go wrong. So you guys can have a lot of food and a lot of alcohol. And did I mention that you guys will make a lot of money really fast? Sir James Halblin was just like, yeah, this expedition's crazy. You guys cannot turn down this offer. And Gibson was like, okay. And the crew was like, okay. And Avery was like, I like getting rich. And so they started to set sail towards Spain. Now you might be wondering, why Spain? They said the Caribbean. And the rest of the crew was also confused about this. 3 ships sailed towards Spain. Charles II, the James, and the Dove. And supposedly this trip to Spain was supposed to take a maximum of 2 weeks. But they were there for 5 months. I'm sure you could assume that not getting paid in 5 months might not be a fun thing. And so they sent letters to Sir James Halblin, which Sir James Halblin responded with. He didn't respond. He just dono-walled them. What did the crew do? They sent letters to their wives. The wives would basically relay their message and say, hey, what's happening, Halblin? Are you trying to mess with us? What is this? And Halblin responded with, those ships are no longer under my control. They are under Spanish rule now. Word got back to the crew, and the crew was just like, no. So Henry Avery decided, you know what? I'm going to stage a mutiny because Gibson over here is not doing anything and he refuses to do anything. So by nightfall, I will stage a mutiny. Anyone in? Part of the rebellion crew sailed over to the James and said this weird passcode that no one really knew about is your drunken boatswain aboard. And the captain on the ship was like, huh? What are you talking about? The crew, failing their deception check, tried to play it off, but it failed. The captain got suspicious, and he's like, you know what? I'm gonna sound the alarm. Things don't feel or look right here. But the crew took his pinnace. It's a boat. A pinnace is a boat. Anyways, on Charles II, the main boat, and the boat that Avery was on, started the mutiny, and they captured the ship quite easily. The captain on the James was like, you know what? Screw this, and he loads up a cannon and fires it over to Charles II. This alerted the guards. Well, shoot, I gotta get out of here. He cut the anchor, and he started sailing away out of La Coruna, Spain. So, out at sea, what did Avery do? Charles Gibson, do you want to be part of my crew? And he responded with, yo, this business is not for me. Henry Avery decided, okay, to all the people aboard that do not want to be on this adventure, you guys can leave. Just take the pinnace and leave. Go. I don't care. And so that's what they did. Except for the doctor. Yo, wait, hold on a second. You're a doctor, right? Yeah, I guess I am a doctor. Can I leave? You're staying on this ship. Avery renamed the ship from Charles II to the Fancy, and he was promoted as captain of the ship. I also forgot to mention, when Avery kicked Gibson off the boat and they were sailing away, he said something along the lines of, I am a man of my fortune, and I must go chase it. And I thought that was just a pretty crazy bar from Avery. I am a man of my fortune, and I must go chase it. Bro, I'm leaving. Come on. I get it. You don't need to make me feel bad. And so Avery decided, let's go east. And they found their way to Madagascar. And Avery was doing pretty good for himself. He captured a lot of ships and he plundered a lot of ships on his way to Madagascar. He sets up base in Madagascar and he later learns something very, very interesting. He learns that there is an Indian treasure fleet leaving Mocha, Yemen, for us modern day gamers, from the Red Sea that is bound for India, specifically Surat. So I'm sure you can do the very easy equation of Indian treasure fleet plus Avery equals get rich. And so Avery and the rest of his crew decided to stake out the Red Sea. But they weren't the only gamers there. A few other people knew about the treasure fleet leaving Mocha, one of them being a Dutchman, one of them being someone from the American colonies, and one of them being someone from Uncharted. This this Thomas 2 character. With the crew waiting around, they haven't seen anything yet, and it's starting to get dark, and they're starting to get hungry, and they're starting to get tired. It wasn't until they saw a little blob in the distance, and they realized it was the Indian treasure fleet. And the funny thing was, it was the smallest ship, and it was the last ship on the fleet. They almost let the treasure fleet slip away. They sailed towards the ship, and they captured it. Wasn't too hard. When they captured it, they interrogated the guy aboard. Like, okay, they're way over there now. Avery was like, okay, we gotta go. The Fancy was so fast that it left everyone way back there. Like, way back there. Like, I'm talking way back there. It took about 3 days for their ship to catch up with this Indian ship. And it was also a smaller-ish ship. It was called the Fatmawandi. When Avery's ship started to sail towards them, the captain on the Fatmawandi was like, okay, we need to show these boys what for. They shot 3 muskets at them. Obviously, it wasn't enough. So what he did in retaliation was he took 27 men with muskets in hand and fired back at them. And they surrendered immediately. It was actually a pretty crazy haul because the ship was carrying goods worth 50,000 to 60,000 euros. So they got rich pretty fast. After capturing the Fatmawandi, they were just sailing around in the Indian Sea, and they saw another treasure fleet, and this one was a big one. This was like the biggest Animal Crossing fish that you've ever seen in your entire life. This ship belonged to an Indian mogul, and the name of the ship was called in English it's called the Gunsway, so we're just gonna call it as that. Avery, being the person that he was, said, that ship is ours, sail towards it now, and we're gonna capture it. When the Indian captain on the Gunsway saw Avery's ship coming towards them, he told his gunner, alright, load up that cannon, and we're gonna fire at them. He loaded the cannon, he lit the fuse, covered his gamer ears, and he noticed something. The cannon wasn't firing. And so when he looked, the cannon exploded. It was already looking pretty bad for the Gunsway, but it was still a very large ship with a lot of people, so it couldn't be that easy, could it? With the Indian captain seeing the cannon blew up the side of the ship, Avery firing on the ship and destroying the main mast of the ship so they can't go anywhere now, what did he do? He ran to the very bottom of the deck where he bought Turkish girls or Turkish slaves and told them to fight. And that's what they did. The Turkish girls actually tried to fight. But they couldn't win their 1Vs. So we're just gonna censor all of this. And so future Luffy will talk about more about Avery because yeah. Thank you, Luffy in the past. So with the Gunsway being captured, Avery and his men were now filthy stinking rich. They had 150,000 in euros, which is a lot of money. Almost enough money to give me the ability to build this park. Do you know how expensive it is to build this one roller coaster? I've been trying to build this roller coaster, but no one wants to buy my drinks or my burgers, and they think the park tickets are too expensive. They made so much money that everyone was able to take 1,000 euros of their own share. That equates to 20 years on a Royal Navy boat, if they even decide to pay you. So, these guys were eating good. Now, taking this ship came with a little bit of troubles. The ship obviously belonged to an Indian mogul, so he was not happy. And guess who was trading with the Indian moguls at this time? It was England. England got really furious with this because the Indian moguls were like, hey, you guys need to stop this because we're trading with you, and you know what? We don't need to trade with you. We'll just cut off your trade. We'll go to the Dutch. Oh, okay, buddy. You don't need to go that far. You wouldn't want to trade with the Dutch, would you? Yeah, we will trade with the Dutch. We don't care. Okay, never mind. We'll deal with Avery. You sit right there. We'll take care of Avery. And England decided, okay, Avery needs to go. So, a manhunt started for Henry Avery. Henry Avery caught on, and he was like, oh, okay, well, I need a scram, because this place is not for me anymore. He set sail for Nassau, in November 1895. He sold all the loot that he had, he bought a ship called the Seaflower, and he just kind of disappeared. He just pee-pee poofed into the void. We don't actually know what actually happened to him. So a lot of people call Avery as like the first pirate or the pirate king because he was the one that was actually a successful pirate. He robbed an Indian ship, he pissed off England, and he disappeared into the night sky with a lot and a lot and a lot of gold. William Kidd was a little bit different. He has a very interesting story, all thanks to Henry Avery. Captain William Kidd. We don't really know much about his early days like everyone else in these times, but we do know that Kidd wasn't born into fortune. He was actually born into a rather poor family, and he ended up becoming a privateer through a lot of sailing experience. In his first expedition with Captain John Fanton in 1689, this is when he started to become a little bit more popular. The thing about Captain Fanta over here is that he wasn't a very good captain. He was more or less pretty incompetent, and the rest of the crew knew this. William Kidd also didn't like him, so he staged a mutiny. He eventually got recognized when he ended up capturing a ship off the coast of New England. One of the mayors over there, Richard Coote, was just like, this guy's actually a pretty good sailor. I'm going to sponsor him, and he can become a privateer. The English admirals looked at Kidd, and they saw that he staged a mutiny. You actually mutinied on a French ship, you get the pass. You're fine. You can become a privateer for the East India Company. How about that? Okay, cool. With the sponsorship of Richard Coote and the East India Company, William Kidd received a letter of marque and reprisal. The East India Company asked William Kidd, go out there and take any French ship that you want. So the crew started sailing towards the Cape of Good Hope in South Africa. Kidd was supposed to take a couple ships along the way, but it kind of failed and they were just poorly planned, so they haven't captured anything yet. What are you doing? Aren't you like good at your job? Yeah, I'm fantastic at my job. What are you talking about? I know how to sail a ship. I know how to take a ship. I mean, I don't know. The sun was in my eyes. I was lagging. My brother was sailing the ship. It was just unlucky, man. I don't know what to say. And you know what they found when they arrived in Cape of Good Hope? Cholera. They found cholera. So after finding cholera in South Africa, they set sail towards the East Indies, and morale was very, very low at this point because people are dying left and right, and William Kidd had nothing to show for it. I haven't captured any ships, people are dying around me, and people are starting to get mad at me because this expedition is not going well. It wasn't until one ship passed on by. William Moore was a crew member on the Adventure Galley. More specifically, he was the gunner. He spotted the ship and he alerted William Kidd. Kidd, we need to take this ship. Everyone is pissed at you. You gotta take this ship. Alright, so who's sailing the ship? It's a Dutch ship, so we can take it. We cannot take a Dutch ship. Our king is part Dutch. He will be pissed at us if we take this ship. Do you not understand? Everyone is pissed at you, and how dare you talk to William Kidd like this? Here's this bucket right here, and I'm gonna throw it at you. Kidd had an argument with his gunner, Moore, and he ended up killing him with a bucket. He just took a bucket next to him and just swung it at him, and it hit the side of his face, and he just died. Kidd at this point knew that his spot as captain was in danger. Next ship I see, I will take it. I promise everyone, we will take the next ship. Can we handshake on that? Can we handshake on that? Please, someone handshake. Please. Another ship passed the Adventure Galley, and Kidd was like, you know what? That's the one. We're gonna get it. It was a ship flying French colors, so obviously nothing can go wrong because this is the perfect kind of ship that William Kidd can possibly get. It wasn't until closer inspection that it was an Armenian-built ship sailing French colors and sailed by an English man. And this ship belonged to Indian moguls. So, this ship was a disaster for William Kidd. Kidd earlier handshaking everyone saying, you know what, I will get the next ship. And you know what he said? No, not this ship. Bro, you shook our hands. What are you talking about? Not this ship. You literally shook my hand. I don't remember shaking anyone's hand. Kid, super reluctant, actually captured the ship and said, okay, this is technically a French ship, so we can't get docked for this one, right? I'm gonna send the adventure galley back home to England, and we're gonna tell everyone that we got a French ship. Okay, is everyone happy? Everyone's like, yippee! We did it! We finally got a ship! I can't believe it! This is the first time I ever gotten a ship in my entire life! This is the biggest moment for me! And William Kidd was like, this is a little bit of a nightmare. So the name of this disaster of a ship was called the Cato Merchant, and William Kidd later changed its name to the Adventure Prize, which I think is hilarious. So he sent the Adventure Galley home, and now he's sailing the Adventure Prize. Word got back to the Indian mogul that his ship was taken none other than an Englishman. And India was furious. And if you remember, who pissed off India earlier? Henry Avery. India went to England and was like, okay, what's the deal here? Are you mad? Are you crazy? Are you stupid? Why would you take one of my ships? Because this is getting out of hand. And England's like, whoa, wait, what are you talking about? This guy took my ship. Do something about it. Actually this time. Because last time I checked, you couldn't get this guy. Right, we're on it. Because India was ready to vote kick England off the server, aka deny them any trade anymore. That's it. William Kidd is no more. He is now a pirate because he has robbed and murdered. Word somehow got back to Kidd, and at this point he is famous because he has pissed off all of England and India, and he is a wanted dead man. All of his crew members in Madagascar just jumped ship and they just left him. Good luck. I actually kind of hate you. You were the worst captain ever. Peace. And so they disappeared. I gotta get out of here. So he started to sail towards the Caribbean, where all the pirates go for some reason when things start to go wrong. He sold off all of the treasure that he got from the Adventure Prize, and he bought a little small boat, and he tried to make his way to New York. He wrote a letter to Richard Coote, and in that letter he said, I buried treasure on this island. I'll tell you where it is specifically if you can help me out. And Richard Coote, being a mayor of a few colonies in America, did not want anything to do with William Kidd at this point because they were starting to come after him as well. William Kidd got the letter, sailed towards Richard Coote, and he was detained. Life in jail for William Kidd, as you can imagine in these times, was not good, and it was just a terrible time for him. Meanwhile, Richard Coote was like, ooh, I'm gonna open up this loot box and see what I get from Kidd's treasure. And when Richard Coote opened that little loot box, all he got was stickers and an emote. It wasn't good. He was not happy. They had a trial for William Kidd, and at this point, it didn't matter what Kidd said because he was a dead man. There's no way around it. Like, no matter what he says, he has to die. He could do a backflip in front of us and he would die. He could do a kickflip in front of us and he would die. He could 1v5 Ace in Valorant and it won't matter. Hey, did you remember that letter of marque and reprisal that I talked about earlier? Oh, you remembered? Well, congratulations. If you didn't, that's okay. Kidd's letter of marque and reprisal just suddenly goes missing during the trial, and it was believed that they just took it from him because it's the one thing that could actually get him off the hook, and the crown could be like, shoot, we can't get him for this. He has a letter of marque and reprisal. So they just stole it from him. The trial goes on, and they're like, fine, we'll try and find your letter of marque and reprisal. They didn't. They had it. And they're like, okay, we couldn't find it, so you're a dead man now. Sorry. And Kidd's just like, shoot. They bring him up for execution. They tie that little knot around his neck, and they try and hang him for everyone to see. The rope just snapped. He fell to the ground, and everyone was just like, is that it? They actually picked him up, and they're like, do you have anything to say? And he was just like, and then they just hung him again, and they left him out to hang. And so everyone saw William Kidd hanging from this little post here. This actually did the opposite of what England wanted, because everyone in the printing press was writing all these fictitious stories about William Kidd and how he had like this crazy adventure to piss off the Indian mogul, and now the English crown. His letter about his treasure was leaked and everyone was going rabid for it. Everyone was just like, he has buried treasure. He has millions. He has billions. He has so much money buried in the sand somewhere. We got to find it. And that's what got William Kidd so popular. Kidd definitely didn't see himself as a pirate. He saw himself as a privateer to his very bitter end. And the reason why he ended up being a pirate was because of that legal definition of killing a man out at sea and, robbing a ship. And they ended up turning that definition of him being a legal privateer, a legal pirate, into a real pirate. You get what I'm saying?
She rises, way up she rises, early in the morning.
And so this leads me to the golden age of pirates. And I'm going to keep this part pretty brief. The golden age of piracy didn't really start until 1715 and didn't end until about 1730. It was during this era where all the most famous pirates came out. I'm talking Blackbeard, Mary Read, Anne Bonny, Benjamin Hornigold, Samuel Bellamy, Edward Lowe. And so it was all thanks to William Kidd and a little bit of Avery. That spun this huge world of pirates. And it was all because of the printing press and some random stories talking about Kidd and all of his adventures at sea that were very, very, very embellished. And so this comes to my very last points. Pirates were just normal dudes, which was, I think, funny to learn about because I mean, I guess it's kind of expected that pirates were just normal guys, but they were just people that saw an opportunity to make a lot of money. They did it in a way that wasn't very legal and obviously very hated by the English government. They found out that they could just rob a ship and become rich overnight, opposed to sitting on a Royal Navy ship, wasting away for 20 years, not getting a single pence. So becoming a pirate was actually quite an interesting career move. I think it's just fascinating that all these pirates are just normal people. If you enjoyed the video, tell me about it. Like it or subscribe. I don't know. You can do whatever you want to do, but uh pirates are cool.
She shipped it green and none went by, and it's time